A man in Red Square is handing out leaflets to passersby. Soon enough, the KGB arrests him, only to discover that the leaflets are blank sheets of paper. They say, "What is the meaning of this?" And the man says, "What's there to say? It's so obvious." The point of the joke is the man was generating subversive common knowledge.
Welcome to Real Talk English. Have you ever wondered how a single person, just by speaking the truth, can change, well, everything?
With private knowledge, I know something and you know it. With common knowledge, I know that fact and you know it, but in addition, I know that you know it, and you know that I know it, and I know that you know that I know it ad infinitum.
Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea from a talk by Steven Pinker. It's about an unseen force that explains everything from why a simple joke works to how entire revolutions get started.
Common knowledge is significant is that it is essential for coordination. In a public demonstration, each protester can see the other protesters see the other protesters, and this common knowledge allows them to coordinate their resistance.
Okay, so we all know the story of the emperor's new clothes, right? You've got this whole crowd of people, and they all see the emperor as totally naked. But everyone's just standing there, silent, pretending to admire his amazing invisible suit. Then this one little boy just blurts out the obvious. The thing is, he didn't reveal a secret. And yet, that one little statement completely shattered the illusion. So what was the magic ingredient there? How did one kid's words have that much power? Well, that's the big mystery we're going to solve today.
All right, so the secret isn't about what people knew, it's about how they knew it. The boy didn't just add a new fact to the pile, he added something much, much more powerful. Everyone already knew the emperor was naked, and the boy spoke nonetheless. So in spite of what everyone was already thinking, he said it out loud. But what did his words actually add to the situation?
And here's the crucial point. It turns out there are two very different kinds of knowledge. And understanding this difference, well, that's the key to this whole puzzle.
See, before the boy spoke, everyone had private knowledge. Each person was in their own little bubble, thinking, the emperor is naked. But they had no idea if anyone else was brave enough to think it. The boy's public shout transformed all that private knowledge into common knowledge. Suddenly, everyone knew that everyone else knew.
And this isn't just, I know you know. This recursion goes on forever, or ad infinitum. It's that I know that I know spiral, kind of like standing between two mirrors that reflect each other forever. That infinite loop is what makes common knowledge so incredibly powerful.
Now, I know this might sound a bit abstract, but common knowledge is something we use all the time to solve everyday problems. Let's look at a classic example to see how it works. So, imagine a couple gets separated in a massive city. Let's say Manhattan. They absolutely have to find each other, but there's a huge problem. They can't communicate. They're completely incommunicado. No phones, no texting, nothing. So how in the world are they supposed to coordinate meeting up? You can just imagine the mental gymnastics, right? He starts thinking, okay, she'll probably go to the bookstore. But then he goes, wait, she knows I like the camera store. But then he has to think about her thinking, about him thinking. It just becomes this impossible spiral of second guessing. My head hurts just thinking about it. Both of them are desperately trying to anticipate what the other person is going to do, and they just get lost inside their own heads. So how does this problem ever get solved in the real world? Well, without any direct communication, people intuitively rely on two things to solve this: focal points and conventions. These are just clever ways to create a kind of shared guess without actually talking to each other. A focal point is just a unique, obvious location that both people know about, and they know the other person knows about it. It has what's called conspicuous salience. Think of the giant clock at Grand Central Station. It's a natural meeting spot because it just sticks out for everyone. It's obviously the obvious choice. The second solution is a convention. Basically, a shared rule we all follow. I mean, think about driving on the right side of the road. It's not like it's inherently better than the left. We just do it because it's the rule we've all agreed on. And it works because it's common knowledge that everyone else is going to follow that rule too. Okay, so let's scale this idea up, way up. From finding a friend to changing the world. As Gandhi pointed out, a tiny ruling group can only control a massive population as long as that population stays uncoordinated.
Before a protest, each person might privately hate the regime,
But in public, they act with obsequious deference. It's this sort of fake, over-the-top respect because they're terrified of being the only one to act out. They just don't know who else feels the same way they do.
A public protest is basically a giant machine that creates common knowledge. The moment you see thousands of other people in the street, you know they're willing to act, and they know that you know. Just like that, individual fear dissolves and transforms into incredible collective power.
This actually explains an old Soviet-era joke. A man is arrested for handing out blank leaflets. Why? Because the act itself was deeply subversive. It created common knowledge that something was so wrong, so obvious, that it didn't even need to be written down.
So common knowledge doesn't just topple regimes, it also governs our most intimate relationships. In fact, what's really interesting is that sometimes the goal isn't to create common knowledge, it's to actively avoid it.
Think about it. The direct approach creates undeniable common knowledge. There's no ambiguity. But the second one, the veiled approach, leaves room to maneuver. It lets both people understand the suggestion without making it awkwardly explicit.
We use all kinds of linguistic tools for this, like innuendo and euphemism. Would you like to see my etchings is an old-timey classic. A more modern version might be Netflix and chill. Everybody gets the hint, but the words themselves haven't been said out loud. And this isn't about having a believable excuse for a courtroom, it's about protecting the relationship itself. By avoiding common knowledge, if the invitation is rejected, both people can just pretend it was literally about the etchings and maintain the fiction that they're just friends. But if it was stated directly, that fiction becomes impossible to keep up.
So as we start to wrap up, let's zoom out one last time. This whole concept isn't just a clever mind game. It's actually the invisible glue that holds our entire social world together.
I mean, really think about it. Basic civility, social norms like not insulting people to their faces, and even massive concepts like international peace, all of these are built on a shared understanding that we all agree to follow certain unwritten rules.
But here's the scary part. These norms are incredibly fragile. They exist only because we all believe they exist. And if someone with a big enough platform openly breaks them, it can shatter that common knowledge, and the whole system can just collapse. So the key takeaway here is pretty huge. The gap between what we know privately and what is common knowledge is vast. And mastering that gap is the key to coordination, from our personal lives to global politics. It's the fragile, invisible foundation that so much of our social harmony depends on.
And here's a quick look back at all the key vocabulary we use today to break down these powerful ideas.
Now that you've got a solid handle on the core concepts, you should definitely challenge yourself by watching the original TED Talk by Steven Pinker. It's a fantastic way to test your understanding and really level up your listening skills.
And that brings us to our final thought for you. What's an unspoken rule in your life or your culture that only works because everyone knows that everyone else knows it? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And hey, if you enjoyed this explainer, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.